Hello, I'm making a very different sort of video today, and you can see that I'm in a very different location from what I normally am, because I'm here at my parents' house in Maine, where I've come to visit for Thanksgiving Day weekend, come all the way from where I live in London, and I haven't been able to physically see them for the past couple of years because of circumstances, so it's been really wonderful to see them and reconnect with my family here. And I thought since I was here, I would make a fun sort of very personal, very sentimental video looking through some old boxes of books that I have stored here at my parents' house because I don't have room for them back in London. So you can see there's a very sweet younger picture of me behind me posing with my sister, and really sweetly my father put out for me a copy of my novel that I wrote and published when I was 20 years old. And also we got out a stack of books that I've been really eager to see, of the physical copies of Anthony Trollope's novels that my grandmother owned. And if you've been watching my channel, you know that I've been going on a journey in the past year of reading Anthony Trollope for the first time, which I've especially wanted to do because he was my grandmother's favorite author. And so here are the physical copies of the books that she owned, which I'm going to try to lift them all up without dropping them all over the place. Here they all are. She has a lot of the Barsetshire Chronicle novels and a lot of the Palliser novels, and I was wondering going through them if she had actually written in them or made any notes in them, and so I was flipping through them and I didn't see anything until I lifted up the cover here, and I saw that she wrote "have read" 1988, and in a lot of the books all she wrote was "have read," I guess as a way of keeping track of what she had actually read. And so The Warden, which is the first novel I read by Anthony Trollope, so this is that copy of that, and on the inside cover of this all that was written is "okay." I guess that's the entirety of the novel. I mean, could you imagine if I started reviewing books on here and just saying okay. I mean, maybe we should do that more often. But what I also discovered in one of the books was written, my Aunt Cynthia's has her signature here, and she lived very close with my grandmother for a long time, and I was really close to my Aunt Cynthia, and she had died when I was a teenager from cancer, and so yeah, I think she had read all of these novels as well. And actually my father said that he thought that that was actually Cynthia's writing in the books and how she kept track of what she had read. So yeah, it's really wonderful seeing her signature in this and knowing that she had read this physical book. And yeah, having this connection with my aunt and my grandmother is a really wonderful thing. And I don't think I'll be able to bring all of these copies of the books back with me to London, but I'll try to bring a few of them. There's also in the box of books that I pulled out from the cupboard, which is here beside me, this old book of my school days, so you can see my development of my education through the years. And it's really funny seeing these old pictures of me back from kindergarten, and to read about what I liked and my interests were at the time. I was a lot more sporty than I thought I was when I was younger, because I continuously list soccer as one of my favorite activities, and also physical fitness, which is kind of a surprise. But you can also see what my pets were called when I was younger. Like I had a goldfish named Zebra, or Zebra now as I pronounce it. But yeah, how I liked soccer and swimming and who my best friends were. But yeah, I also got really into swimming and bowling. I'm really surprised I didn't list reading as a favorite activity of mine, because that is something that I always did. But yeah, just something I guess that I'd never really listed. And so yeah, you can see my development all the way through to high school, where it mysteriously drops off around 11th grade. I think I got tired of filling in all of these blank squares. So then I have this box of this really big heavy box, you can see, which just says "Keep Eric," that's been stored in this closet of books that I'd mostly got, I think, early on in my days in London, and I'd brought them back over here for storage for when I thought I would move back to the United States. But then that just never happened, and I just stayed in the United Kingdom for a long time. So I'm going to have a look through this box to see what's stored here. There's The Gates of Ivory by Margaret Drabble, which actually I've never read. I think I've only read one of her books, but I think I got a copy of this when I went to an event that she was doing, and so I got it signed. And I think most of these books are signed because when I first moved to London, I was wild about getting books signed, and because I was so excited that authors actually made appearances and did events in live events that I could go to and hear them talk and discuss their novels and ask them questions about their books. The Same Sea by Amos Oz, which I did read and I remember enjoying, I think, but I don't remember all that much about it. So you can see he signed it way back in 2001, and I kept the ticket for the event that I went to. Hell by Catherine Davies, which I remember I bought when in Vermont, because I went to college in Vermont for a while, and I remember I went to the author discussion and reading, and you can see she wrote this sweet message for me, which is really kind of her, saying in friendship, even though we've just met. Gabriel's Gift by Hanif Qureshi. I remember, Hanif Qureshi just seemed like such a big deal when I first moved to London. Written on the Body by Jeanette Winterson, which I was so excited to go to an event by Jeanette Winterson. She just seemed like such a mega celebrity to me at the time. In Every Face I Meet by Justin Cartwright, and you can see he signed it with the date here. And you can see in 2001, I was just wild about going to author events. This is interesting because obviously some of these authors have since passed on, and so now it's really special having their signature in these books, including Doris Lessing and this novel, The Four-Gated City, which is the final novel in her Martha Quest series, her really fantastic Martha Quest series. So yeah, there's her signature. Edmund White's novel, The Farewell Symphony, which I just bought pre-signed. You can see the sticker there on the cover that he pre-signed it, even though he's a friend of mine and he's signed a number of books to me. There are some books that I started reading, but I didn't complete reading, including The Ground Beneath Her Feet by Salman Rushdie, but I still have my signed first edition hardback anyway. These books are obviously very special because I wrapped up a couple of these books in bubble wrap. These are Peter Carey's novel Illy Wacker, first edition of it, which I got him to sign at some event, and it's kind of funny because I just got a newly reprinted edition of this novel. It's also The Information by Martin Amis, and I remember at the time in the early 2000s Martin Amis seemed very important, but I really object to some things that he's said when I've gone to hear him speak, and it's really put me off from his writing. Big Woman by Faye Weldon. I adore Faye Weldon, and it was really exciting to see that she had signed this for me up in Norwich, because I went to the University of East Anglia. So I'd obviously gone to a reading of hers there. Yes, I had, because here's the ticket stub for it. Hello. How are you doing?
Good. Oh, you might like some tea.
Thank you. Oh, it's very sweet. My father just brought me a cup of tea, but didn't want to be on camera. Alias Grace by Margaret Atwood. I went to a very special event in London in the early 2000s where Margaret Atwood introduced the movie Night of the Hunter at a cinema there and talked about it as one of her favorite movies, and it was such a wonderful event, and I just sort of accosted her after with some books, and I was like, I'm such a big fan, will you sign my book? Now, not all of my books are signed. Some of the ones I stored here I've read and just absolutely loved, and couldn't get rid of my copy of it, including this poetry collection, With a Grain of Sand by Wisława Szymborska, who won the Nobel Prize for Literature, and this poetry is just so moving and profound. Ake by Wole Soyinka, which I still have his new novel, which I've been meaning to get around to reading this year. I have to read that before the end of the year. Waiting for the Dark, Waiting for the Light by Ivan Klima, and I remember when I had him sign this, he was very grumpy, and I sort of put my book forward and said, oh, I really enjoyed your talk, and he just sort of nodded, signed, gave me the book, like didn't even look at me, which I can sort of understand. I mean, sometimes probably authors just aren't in the mood to have weird casual chats with people that come up to have their book signed. A.S. Byatt wrote this book about Iris Murdoch's early novels called Degrees of Freedom. Every Man for Himself by Beryl Bainbridge, which was so wonderful. Dearly departed Beryl Bainbridge. I thought she was such an amazing author and just such a wonderful, charismatic person. And I had a big stack of her books signed, but then it was in a bag, which I was in a restaurant once, and somebody stole that bag out from under me, and so somebody got this whole stack of signed Beryl Bainbridge books. But then I did get another one signed by her when I went to a really special event at the South Bank Center, which for a while they were holding these special events with authors with a limited number of tickets, which I think only a dozen tickets, to make a much more intimate author-reader experience where you just sat around in a circle with the author and discussed their work with them and talked about their life with them. And it was such a wonderful experience and so great to speak to Beryl Bainbridge in this, much more casual manner. Although some members of the audience, I remember, I think didn't expect that it was going to be such an intimate event, and so were sort of surprised that they were just there talking with the author for an hour or so. But yeah, it was such a great experience. I wish they would do that again. Now, some people commented in a video I did recently when I was talking about big books, asking me if I'd ever read A Suitable Boy by Vikram Seth, because this is a very big book, and no, I've never read it. I've always meant to read it, and I remember I bought this like signed first edition of it, meaning to get to it, and I just never have. So, I'm not going to be able to bring all of these books back with me into London because I'm out of shelf space there, but also, don't have enough baggage space. But I will bring some of them, and I think probably including this because yeah, it's very special to have a signed first edition of this book that I know so many people absolutely revere. Speaking of departed authors, there's J.G. Ballard with Empire of the Sun, and I went to a reading that he gave and got my copy of this signed, so this is very special. I also have some copies of these Franklin Library editions of books, and so this is Good as Gold by Joseph Heller. So yeah, I might take this back as well, but it's going to be really difficult to pick and choose what to bring and take back, because I've also bought some other books while I'm here. Of course, I went book shopping with my friend Christy, and there's some really wonderful bookshops around Portland, Maine, so that was a really good experience. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed going through this sentimental box of books with me, and yeah, let me know, do you have any books stored anywhere else other than your home that you periodically go back to and sort of browse through, and then just are reminded of when you read it, or when you wanted to read it, or when you got that copy of the book? Yeah, it's really special how there's these memories attached to the books the physical books that we own, and why it makes it so difficult to get rid of them. So thank you for watching this video, and I will speak to you again soon. Bye bye.